Around the world, there's a trend taking over Gen Z. It's called the sober curious movement.
Alcohol made me feel like shit.
I'm done drinking. I just can't do it anymore.
People are questioning why our entire society is built around alcohol.
But the alcohol industry is trying to capture the spirits of young Aussies using health claims to spruik products.
Delish. Claims like low carb, low sugar, natural, vegan, gluten-free. These are claims that are really popular with young people who are, focused on wellness trends and improving their health and well-being. It creates what we call a health halo. So rather than focusing on the negative attributes of the product, people are distracted. It's kind of like a sleight of hand.
New research looking into 491 pre-mixed alcohol drinks on Aussie shelves found 52% of the products use phrases like naturalness, calories, and sugar content in a bid to get people to buy. The biggest offender? Hard seltzer.
Real vodka, real juice. 100 calories.
In my mind, I feel like it's like a healthier option.
Not healthy.
Yeah.
Healthier.
On the healthier side, but I still wouldn't say it's healthy because it's still alcohol.
96% of the boozy, bubbly water packaging features positive nutrition claims.
Often they're relative, like lower sugars and lower energy, so that begs the question of lower to what.
Despite knowing how bad a tipple or two is, 7 different cancers are linked to alcohol. Almost 80% of Australians continue to knock them back.
A hard-earned thirst needs a big cold beer.
I'd be lying if I said no. Yes, I do.
Alcohol itself is a toxin. It's a class 1 carcinogen, and it really needs to be communicated to people in that light. And what we're concerned about is if you have these kinds of positive messaging and they're on the front of the product, then that is misleading.
So will big booze finally beat the sober curious movement with healthy bevs, or will Gen Z be the first generation to call last drinks?
Karen Ferry is an advertising expert. She knows booze. She also knows brands. Karen, younger people are turning their backs on booze. These are the reports that we're seeing. So would the better for you jargon, could it work in getting them drinking again?
Look, I think the people who aren't drinking. What these claims do is switch drinkers between brands. So often these younger drinkers don't have any loyalty between all these essentially new products to the market. So it goes back to the very basics of advertising, which is just giving product points to try and attract drinkers from other brands to try this new product.
So if people are going to drink anyway, doesn't it make sense for them to be aware that there's a low-calorie option that they can choose and then take it?
Essentially that's the kind of logic of it. I mean, it's also that point of like how you feel about sugar versus artificial sweeteners. And, the best thing to do is always to check the label and actually just look at what's inside the beverage that you're choosing.
I would say that this is just indicative of a wider trend when it comes to advertisers trying to target Gen Z. Do you think that that generation is more vain than previous ones?
It's interesting because apparently, there's sort of studies looking across Instagram and Gen Zs are actually generally more attractive than any generation before them, but they're also most self-conscious. And that's probably because they're, exposed to Instagram, TikTok. They feel like they could be watched any second, they could be documented. So in a way, they are maybe not so much more vain, but so much more image aware.
Wouldn't you say that millennials are very attractive?
Yeah.
What about boomers? We're attractive ones.
You don't have to answer that, Karen.
Karen, Hard Solo had to change its name because of fears it looked too similar to the regular soft drink Solo. So are all these other drinks going to have to change their advertising as well?
Probably not, because what Hard Solo did is it took a product that was essentially access all ages, right? You could have it at a family picnic, kids can drink it, and then they added alcohol into it, which happens overseas, but it's the first time it happened here, where all these other products that appear on the market are advertised and positioned as alcoholic products. They're also only ever been available as brands in the alcohol section of stores. So it's a really kind of a different thing, and we're probably potentially are going to see much more of this because there are trends overseas, especially in the US, where drinks that are typically non-alcoholic get spiked or turned hard.
Karen, wouldn't you say that being forced to change the name was part of possibly a brilliant marketing strategy? Because everyone's talking about it.
was one of those things when it came out, everyone's like, this is crazy. But it got so much more coverage than if they had just launched and be like, hey, you know, the solo flavour you love now comes in this alcoholic drink. So not sure if it was their intention, but it has done very well in making people aware of the product and also try the product.
Karen, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for taking us through it. See, I think that I'm actually with the Gen Z or younger people here. This would appeal to me. The beautiful ones. Thank you so much, Hugh. Yes. This would appeal to me because I'm not a huge drinker, but if there was, you know, those low-calorie options, those are ones that I'm going to look for.
But I feel like health-conscious drinking has been around forever. When I was at uni, we heard a rumour that if you got really cheap vodka and ran it through a water filter, it was better for you. And you could make expensive vodka out of getting, like, you know, dirt cheap vodka and running it through a water filter.
Really?
And we just got really drunk is what happened. It wasn't good.
And it's not something you would recommend to our younger audience.
Of course not. That was awful. I was very hungover for days.
And by the way, we drink far less than we did in the age of Gough Whitlam. Australian drinking peaked in 1975 at the time of the dismissal.
Before Bob Hawke?
Before Bob Hawke. He was doing his best to keep the numbers up. So it might have been when he actually stopped drinking that the numbers fell off a cliff. But yeah, we drank 13 litres a year of pure alcohol per capita, and now it's about 9.5. So we're still big drinkers in world terms.
But you're not drinking 9.5.
I don't drink a thing. It's poison. It's drop.
Yeah.
I've got to keep my looks.